And in all of those 8 years, not once had anyone in the family sat down and asked the single most important question: what do Mama and Papa actually own? So finally, the eldest daughter, living in Frankfurt, decided to do the full asset audit. She sat down and listed everything, and here is what she found: 3 assets, all of them in completely different ways, fast asleep.
This is for the ones who are holding both worlds, working the numbers while raising the boys, sending back home while we're planning right here, legacy growing with every new year.
A Kenyan family in Germany was sending 1,200 euros home every single month for 8 years. That is over 100,000 euros. And then they finally sat down and looked at what their parents actually owned, and within 3 months, that 1,200 a month dropped to 200. Today, I am going to walk you through exactly how they did it, step by step, number by number. Because once you see it, you will realize your family may be able to do the very same thing. I am Lynn Benson. This is Futuretainment. One note before we start, and it matters. This is educational only, not personalized financial advice. And the family in this story is a composite, built from real situations I have seen again and again across the diaspora. It is not their real name, and no real identities are implied. For your own family, please speak to a qualified advisor. Here is how the episode is going to go. I am going to introduce the family and their problem. Then I am going to show you the 3 sleeping assets they discovered. Then, and this is the important part, I am going to show you the exact activation, step by step, with the real monthly numbers. And at the very end, I am going to point you toward the one thing that could have destroyed the whole plan, so you can protect yours. Stay with me all the way, because the final warning is the one that saves families. Let me introduce them. I am going to call them the Wanjiku family. The parents are in their mid-70s, living in Nairobi. There are 4 adult children, 2 in Germany, 1 in Canada, and 1 still in Nairobi. The 3 abroad were sending home a combined 1,200 euros a month for 8 years. Medical bills, household costs, a housekeeper, the usual gap filled the usual way out of the children's own salaries. And in all of those 8 years, not once had anyone in the family sat down and asked the single most important question: what do Mama and Papa actually own? So finally, the eldest daughter, living in Frankfurt, decided to do the full asset audit. She sat down and listed everything, and here is what she found: 3 assets, all of them in completely different ways, fast asleep. Asset 1, a 3-bedroom house in Nairobi. But here was the situation, and it is so common. The parents had moved in with a Nairobi sibling because they wanted family around them, which meant the house they owned was just sitting there, completely empty, generating nothing. An entire house, a valuable asset, producing 0 income, while the children abroad sent money every month. Asset 2, a rental unit in the town of Thika. Now this one is interesting because it was actually already being rented out. It was already producing income, but, and here is the problem, the rent was flowing into a general family account that one sibling controlled informally. Nobody else had any visibility into it. The money was real, but it was disappearing into a kind of black hole. Nobody could see it, so nobody could count it, so in practice, it may as well not have existed for the family's planning. Asset 3, a plot of undeveloped land in Kiambu, sitting there, growing nothing but weeds, generating no income at all. And on top of that, the title was still in the grandfather's name, never properly transferred, which meant it was legally frozen too. So there it is, 3 assets, a house, a rental, and a plot, and every one of them, in its own way, asleep. This is the picture in so many of our families. The wealth exists. It is just dormant. Now here comes the part you want, the activation. Watch how methodical this is, because this is the blueprint. Step 1. They hired a licensed property manager in Nairobi. And I want to underline this. Not a relative, not a friend of the family who said he would keep an eye on things. A registered, licensed, professional property manager who does this for a living and answers to a contract. That professional took the empty Nairobi house and rented it at the proper market rate, 45,000 Kenyan shillings a month. An asset that had been producing nothing was suddenly producing real income. Step 2, they opened a dedicated care account, a single named account, used only for the parents' care and nothing else. And then they took the Thika rental income, that 18,000 shillings a month that had been vanishing into the informal account, and they redirected it straight into this new transparent account. Notice what that did. It did not create new money. It simply took money that already existed and made it visible to everyone. Suddenly, the whole family could see it. Step 3. They engaged a Kenyan lawyer to properly transfer the Kiambu plot into the parents' names and freezing it legally. And then they leased that plot to a horticulture company for 60,000 shillings a year, which works out to about 5,000 a month. A piece of land that had produced nothing for years began producing steady income. Now let us add it all up, because this is where it becomes real. 45,000 shillings from the Nairobi house, 18,000 from the Thika rental, now visible, 5,000 from the Kiambu plot, that is 68,000 shillings a month, roughly 470 euros, now flowing in every month, entirely from the parents' own assets. Money that was there the whole time, finally awake. And here is the result that changes everything. The family now sends just 200 euros a month, and even that is only a buffer for the unexpected, down from 1,200. That is an 83% reduction in 3 months. Now, I need you to hear the deepest lesson in this, because it is easy to miss. The Wanjiku family did not find new money. They did not win the lottery. They did not suddenly start earning more. Nobody worked a second job. They simply activated the money that was already there, sleeping in 3 properties that nobody had ever bothered to organize. The wealth did not appear. It was woken up, and your family's situation may look strikingly similar. An empty house that someone moved out of, rent going somewhere murky that nobody can quite see, a plot of land doing absolutely nothing. This exact pattern repeats itself across the entire diaspora, in family after family after family. The details change, the shape stays the same. Now, I would be doing you a disservice if I made this sound effortless. So let me walk you through the real risks the Wanjiku family had to manage, because your family will face the same ones. This is the honest part. Risk 1. Bad tenants. When you rent out a property from thousands of miles away, you are exposed to tenants who damage the place or stop paying. The Wanjiku family managed this the right way through that licensed property manager who handled tenant vetting, collected a security deposit, and put a proper lease in place. This is exactly why you do not hand this to a well-meaning relative. A professional has systems for exactly these problems. Risk 2. Property damage and maintenance. A house that generates income also needs upkeep, and from abroad you cannot see the leaking roof or the broken gate. Again, the property manager's monthly reporting handled this. A small percentage of the rent, typically 8 to 12%, goes to the manager, and it is worth every cent because it converts a property you cannot watch into an income stream someone competent is watching for you. Risk 3, and this is the big one, family conflict over the money. Remember that Thika rent that had been disappearing into one sibling's informal account? That is a landmine in most families. The Wanjiku family diffused it before it could explode. by moving everything into that transparent, dedicated care account that all the siblings could see. They anticipated the conflict and they structured it away before it ever arrived. That is the lesson. Do not wait for the money fight to happen and then try to fix it. Build the transparent structure first so the fight never gets oxygen, and notice the sequence they followed because the order matters. They did not start by renting the house. They started by getting the legal authority to act, then they secured a clean structure for the money, and only then did they activate the assets one by one. Authority first, structure second. Activation third. Families who try to activate assets before they have the legal authority or the transparent account in place run into walls or worse, into conflict. The Wanjiku family succeeded not just because they had assets, but because they did things in the right order. This is Futuretainment. We are rooted in two worlds. We are building one legacy. So here is your one action this week. Do the audit. Actually, sit down on one single page, list every asset your parents own: property, land, rentals, policies, pensions, and pay special attention to the ones that seem inactive: the empty house, the idle plot, the account nobody watches, because that is precisely where the sleeping money hides. That one page is where an 83% reduction begins. It began for the Wanjiku family with exactly that page. But before you go, I have to give you the warning I promised. Because there is one thing that can quietly destroy everything I just described. It is not a bad tenant. It is not the property market. It is something much closer to home. It is the sibling who controls the money. Did you notice in this story how that Thika rent was disappearing into one sibling's informal account? That is the danger. And in the next video, I am going to show you exactly how to handle it, how to protect the money and the family at the same time without the whole thing exploding into conflict. I will see you on Monday.
Leave something worth inheriting. This is future.